Hey guys, welcome.
You forgot the name of the podcast?
I knew Luritz had to do something.
To the left, to the left.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Inventing Construction. I'm here with Elia Gonzalez-Salas, and today we're going to talk about tech and kind of new ways of working, or new ways of challenging maybe.
Yes, possibilities and opportunities, right? So we see a lot of industries already applying multiple technologies, different technologies, and testing and so on, right? And so my question would be like, can we actually utilize any of those good practices and technologies? Not only technologies, but also different methodologies of teamwork and so on, and actually implement them in construction in the same way. Or maybe rethink the way they are used in other industries, and maybe apply them to construction as well.
And we're not going to follow this usual structure of topic subcategories. We have around 10 kind of areas we want to cover, and we're not saying by any means we're the experts here. All we're doing is trying to highlight these particular areas, and hopefully in the future, for anybody out there who is an expert in these areas, we would love to hear from you, and perhaps you can come on and give us a bit of a further, deeper, more in-depth insight into what these are. And I believe the first one is
we know some of them because we've been exposed to them in our network, but there are many other out there, so we are also very much open to hear. But furthermore, we will suggest maybe some ways to use and implement these technologies in construction that we can think of with our limited vision and knowledge with our construction background. But if someone can think of other ways and many other opportunities and possibilities that are there, please also share them with us. We would like to give inspiration, and we would love to receive inspiration from other points of view.
Absolutely. No, by no means we're not the experts here. But let's see. So the first one here is digital implementation. Do you want to kind of describe digital implementation to see what exactly it is, and maybe give a little bit of an insight for our listeners?
Digital implementation in this case, I suppose, is not a technology as such, as we were saying. It will be a methodology or a different approach. And in this case, digital transformation being the transformation of traditional processes, paper-based, to a more digital ones, media-based.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, I guess, in our other podcast series of transitioning businesses from the analog structure and the analog process into a more digital process. So digitalization, and then I've completely forgot it.
Static submissions or static deliveries into more dynamic ones, more interactive, that allows maybe the end user to play with them and interact with them in different shapes. It can be applied to the communication, the way we communicate. It can be applied to our deliveries and so on.
So really what we're saying there is for people to challenge their current work environments to see is there anything they can do to digitize that workflow that makes communicating with other stakeholders more clear, more automated, I guess more structured. But it is something that we talked about quite a lot, and it can be quite challenging, this digital transformation from what we're used to into something new. But what's the next topic on there, Elia? That's AI for error detection. This is an interesting one, surely, right?
Like it's something that we do, and that unfortunately we are limited because of the amount of data we can process. However, with the help of artificial intelligence, we could actually assist ourselves to create all these checklists, at least to run through 80% of all the checks that we do that have a criteria, a condition behind, and therefore it could be automated. It could be machine processed to identify red flags, errors. Like we've seen these since ages ago in our reports, written reports, grammar checks. All right, so now let's apply this to also formula checks, and let's apply this to number checks, formatting checks, and the like, to actually highlight red flags of
quality assurance
elements. It's quality assurance, definitely. So minimizing errors, and a lot of them visually can be identified, and so we correct them in the quality assurance processes we run as humans. But definitely there are more out there that like we could assist ourselves with a more powerful source and a more powerful tool to get.
So you can speed up the number of documents, projects you can process by automating quite a lot of it through, again, AI for detection, and increase that quality by reducing those errors and those defects in whether it's a macro code or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, and it ultimately is quality, right? And minimizing errors, minimizing cost of those errors.
Very good. So the next one on our list here is advanced analytics and cost optimization. And of course, analytics we talk about quite a lot, but advanced analytics, is that taking things to a new level?
Yeah, so analytics is to like the basic ones. We already do what is the percentage of this against that. That's analyzing the information. But it's like these days we could apply advanced techniques. This is used in finance, this is used in banking, and in many other industries where they are reliant on predictions and advanced algorithms to process this data and create deviations and the like. And I think that's a very interesting approach from other industries that could be definitely applied for quantity surveyors and the work and cost managers, contract managers. In the work we do, we work with numbers. So why we are not really creating analytics beyond the average formula and so on, right?
No, absolutely. But do you then need a large data set to work with in order to run those analytics, or can that be done on your standard project with your cost plans and cost estimates and so on?
You need data that can be processed by a machine. Definitely, even though statistics can be done on the paper, but let's not, I think we are talking farther than that. So you need data that can be processed, but also ideally you need a data set to compare, as you are saying. So you are analyzing your project against your own project, which is great. Ideally, you will be analyzing not only that, but also your project against other sources of information for which they will need to be standardized and lay out in the same way as your project with the same criteria behind. So you compare scope and scope.
So standardization,
apples and apples.
Digitization leading into that analytical, and in predictive analysis and cost estimation, that prediction is the future, I guess. I think for us as quantity surveyors, it's absolutely the future when it comes to cost, risk, change, etc. So explain that a little bit more.
When talking predictions,
fluid, if
you
you
mean?
like. Yeah, exactly. Predictive analytics for cost estimation.
When comparing to other data sets, we have, if that data set is coming from a project, let's say, that has already been executed, or a project that is ahead, or a project that has the same characteristics, but that is at a different stage than the project you are comparing. When you start building that data set and not having only 3 points of information, but actually more than that, you could actually see trends. And that's very interesting. Like right now, it's difficult to rely on those trends because we cannot rely on the quality of the data. We don't know if we are comparing apples and apples when we look at the different projects. But again, assistance with artificial intelligence maybe to actually understand and validate that the scope is the same. And then once we have built that layer of quality and reliability, we could start generating predictions. This has happened in a trend with this percentage of possibility. Therefore, in your project that follows this and that other points of information, potentially you have this probability of getting there. We are already doing this in risk analysis, like with Monte Carlo, for example, that analyze probability and likelihood and so on, and impact. But this should be also applied and could be also applied to many other figures in the project. Contract fees, deviations on change, and the cost impact. Obviously, we are quantity surveyors, so
also
cost,
the realistic time for a project.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the next one we have, and as you guys can hear, we're running through these, but we'll come back in the future in more in-depth discussions about each of these if we can find individuals out there who are willing to discuss this with us. But the next one on our list here is cloud collaboration and resource administration.
Like this goes to business, but also to optimize the team. So right now in the industry, we have a lack of resources that is extended. Like I would say all companies and all firms are struggling with resource and efficiency. And what a better way to actually apply better ways to manage the team and optimize their time, efforts, and workload. And one of them is collaborating the cloud. Basically minimize duplication of work, ensure that everybody is collaboratively working on the same versions at the same time, that not the same thing is done twice, and that actually the communication is fluent and everybody knows what is to be done, how to support each other, but also managing these resources in a more optimal way as a team manager or as a project manager or as a business manager, to be able to have an overview and up-to-date, real-life status of what is the consumption, the workload for the quality of the team members and how much they are investing in their efforts, not to burn them, but also, how to see how to relocate these resources immediately without wasting it for a long time.
Much more intuitive, I would say, like keeping people working at their optimum level, if you like. Right now it's very human based, looking at it, deciding who should do what and which project they should work on and what tasks, etc. So there's an opportunity there to really streamline that resource management aspect in the future, for sure. The next one we have is reducing work duplication. So we talked about this in our previous episodes, actually, when we talk about that increase in value for clients by reducing cost, increasing quality, etc., but also using data to drive projects. So you're creating information once, and you're not every stakeholder is repeating the task of quantification. For example, we're using the 3D model as the basis. So maybe talk a little bit about that, the reduction.
It's precisely that. It's about defining better roles and responsibilities, and also ensuring that by having a good access to this information and a good understanding of the output of this information, the information or the work is produced timely, so that not any other stakeholder is producing it because they need it now without having to wait, or they cannot wait for it to actually be done later on. So that will be already a duplication of that work. So maybe planning that process, or those tasks along the process.
Understanding what the output of the task is, and can that output be used by other stakeholders further down the project life cycle, and what value will that create for them? It's all about, again, reassessing as we mentioned in the previous podcast, reassessing how we look at our projects and figuring out that step by step. But again, again, moving on to, and you mentioned a little bit here about digitization and considering how we change our approach. The next topic we have here is smart contracts, and smart contracts is something that's talked about quite a lot in the industry, and I'm assuming that most people know what smart contracts is at this stage, but maybe give people your introduction to that.
Yeah, it's about smart contracts based on blockchain technology that will enable and secure contract execution, payment tracking by basically removing intermediaries and relying in decentralized tamper-proof systems, promoting transparency, but as well minimizing disputes, which are very much time-consuming, and enhancing trust among the different project participants. Basically, this will result in a smoother project delivery and ultimately reduction of all the administrative burden, which again very much time consuming and not good in this.
I think the late payments one is a big one. That's a huge challenge for contractors, subcontractors, supply chain. Transparency on the contract, also very interesting, I would say. And some of the key features is that, of course, on the blockchain, the contract can't be altered. There's a repetitive timestamp on this. And it is there forever. So it's. I think there's a lot to be said about that future possibility with that technology for sure when it comes to construction, because contracts and contracts management is, well, it's big business today, but maybe in the future it's automated to a certain degree.
Yeah, no, we haven't been experiencing this type of contracting yet, or applied to any of the previous experiences we have had, but we are interested to hear if this actually works and how could I be maybe implemented in a progressive way, right? That could be a very interesting approach.
Absolutely. And next on our list then is natural language processing. That's a new one for me. I can see it's abbreviated to NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming for me, right? So, like I've seen this one actually applied to examples, and I thought it was amazing. Because how many times have you been looking for information through the documents, and the search function it was fine, but actually this is not just about looking for keywords. You may look for a keyword, but if in the documents it has been named differently, you're not going to get the exact result, so you cannot find that thing. Or spelling mistake.
This is actually beyond that. It's not only about finding these keywords, but allowing you to ask questions and get answers from these contracts. So this applies to contracts, but also to technical information. Who is delivering this in the contract, and then it actually is able to understand, recognize the language, meaning the context of the message, and actually give you an answer that is. You can rely on it or not. Obviously, it's artificial intelligence. You can only check on that, but it will give you a hint that it's very helpful, and to at least have like this quick answer that you can further validate, but you will get a lot of these answers quick, and then you can spend a little time validating it rather than actually searching and figuring out what word have they used for this element.
A lot of the challenges with contracts is the language that is used within contracts is so complex. People get confused and they read it, and there's a big debate around why contracts aren't read so people can understand them. Why is it read? Why is it written from the side of the law rather than from the side of the reader? Right?
It's a very complex language to understand the way it is written, but also we don't standardize terminology across projects. Then again, the importance of standardizing, right? So the same element might be named in so many different ways. And when you are looking at the contracts where actually different stakeholders have different languages on top of that, and the entire network complex, yeah.
No, I think that's a very interesting one for the future. So next up is robotic process automation. I don't know what this is. You're going to have to explain this one to me.
Never heard we know robots physically as hardware, and we have seen robots applied in execution where they measure, right? They walk around and they take pictures or scan.
They mark
right?
out the floor slab for
this is not that.
partitions.
This is not hardware. This is a robot. It's called robot because of the the actions that and the autonomy that it has, but it's actually software robots. So it's a way to create steps and giving instructions to something that will do that for you. So this robot, we were talking previously, like copy from here, paste it there, right? So ideally we are not doing that, but there is, for example, certain aspects where it might be very useful. For example, we have a lot of historical data in the archive, and now we need to transfer that into digital or like, not digital, it's already digital in PDF,
it's
but
an Excel
readable
or PDF.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
These robots could be trained to actually gather that information for you and put it together rather than having someone collecting this data, historical data, or rather than having artificial intelligence reading here and there. Sometimes it is just as easy as read the screen, take this from here, paste it there, and so on. And that's only just one of the applications I can think of, but there is many other, I suppose. And these robots are easy to build. It's just based on criteria and steps.
Okay, so yeah, robotic processing, that sounds really interesting. It's going to do away a lot with this administrative process, and the junior cost manager and junior quantity surveyor. I'm a bit worried for them because those type of tasks are usually given to those guys and girls, you know. So they really need to be coming out of university offering something new here, I would say, because that kind of lower admin task that was required once upon a time is not there anymore.
I can think of one way of offering something new, and it's learn how to build these robots.
Yes, there you go, right? Yeah. Particularly for QS roles and requirements. So last one on our list then is, and we mentioned it a while ago, was blockchain. But this one in particular is blockchain for the supply chain. I would think that blockchain in itself is revolutionizing a lot of aspects of the industry. But for the supply chain in particular, then how is that going to impact our day-to-day here?
So I think we've talked about sustainability, for example, and certificates in sustainability. So this will be a potential way of actually tracking all the steps of these materials that they follow through the different, suppliers, and
from
and
harvesting
trace,
right through to manufacturing, right through to site delivery,
and trace it. And actually, there won't be a way of forging these and having the assurance that this product is certified, and because it has followed, and you can access with transparency, all the different steps of the chain of these materials, and that could be one of the applications, for instance, of blockchain.
Yeah, very good. Your EDPs, your environmental declaration paper, also would be something as well, following that same process. So there's quite a lot of opportunity within the blockchain, within construction, I think, going from smart contracts and also looking at this environmental sustainability tracking from materials, from whether it's mining or harvesting, right through to manufacturing and delivering on site. I think this, we talked about it before with Roger in the previous podcasts. This area is just growing and growing within our industry, and the requirements for people that have an understanding it's huge at the moment.
And counterfeit of products, like these days that we can see all these materials and material qualities. We have seen several cases, unfortunately, where the concrete doesn't have the properties and the quality that is on the paper, or the specialized equipment is not the brand that it should have been.
The badges have been changed.
Exactly,
it's crazy,
you change the sticker, right? So that is unfortunately happening, and the more the industry struggles economically, the more cases of these we will see. And right now we are going into kind of that stage of economical recession, and therefore this can secure and provide certain assurances to to clients that what they are purchasing and is actually as per the requirements and properties that they are requesting.
That'll definitely be a game changer in the future. But we've covered 10 topics there. Again, only introductory, but I think we'll try and develop these in the future. And if there's anybody out there that has an interest in coming on the podcast here and having a chat with us, we are absolutely open to hear from you. So write to us on LinkedIn. You'll find us both on LinkedIn, no problem, or under our webpage at www.cosmos.company. Thank you and good night all. Thanks very much for listening. There's a LinkedIn link below in the show notes. We would love to connect with you.
We hope you enjoyed it and have you with us in the next one. Thank you very much.